Okay, I will call this meeting to order at 6:01. And would anyone like to, oh, I need to read the script first. Thank you. Pardon me, acting as vice chair, the chair is out sick this evening. So this meeting of the Hartford Select Board, this is a hybrid meeting, which means that some or all of the public body is meeting remotely and some are meeting physically in a previously noticed location where the public may attend to observe, listen, and participate contemporaneously. One member of this public body or other staff is present at the location to ensure the public can participate if desired. Please note that while we strive to provide means for those attending remotely to participate in the public comment period, there may be technical difficulties or reasons that otherwise prevent or interrupt remote public participation. Therefore, it is important to note that the open meeting law only ensures the public's right to participate and comment at a public meeting by attending at the designated physical location as posted in the notice and agenda. If a member of this public body has taken, okay, nobody online for that. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting that are not unanimous will be done by roll call vote in accordance with the law. As required by the open meeting law, let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance of all members participating in the meeting and have those members attending remotely identify themselves to ensure they can be heard at this meeting. Annie Collins?
What do we do?
President, roll call.
Yeah, Laney, I'm here. I'm
Sue?
not really here, but I'm here.
Sue, I'm here.
Ida?
Here.
Mary?
Mary here.
Brandon?
I'm here.
And Kim Souza, I am here. Would anyone like to start us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And again, this is the only second time I've chaired, so please don't hesitate to call a point of order if I goof anything else. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to close the Hartford Select Board and open as the local liquor control board.
Did you want to note
The agenda
the order of agenda change that we have in mind?
before we go into.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so, only
That
because
comes
it
in
relates
number
to the liquor board.
5, it says order.
It does, but because the order of agenda impacts a liquor license, we need to bump it up into the local liquor control board portion of the meeting.
Okay.
Does anyone object to that? Okay, so we will review 2 license applications under the local liquor control board. So we will enter into that LLC at 6:04 and consider the renewal of Teng Restaurant DBA China Moon Buffet. Is there anyone here representing the restaurant? It's a renewal, so that's not required. Any board members have questions or comments regarding the application? Seeing none, I'll be happy to entertain a motion. Mary?
Sure. I move that the select board renew the first class liquor license for Teng Restaurant Incorporated, doing business as China Moon Buffet, 96 Sykes Mountain Avenue, White River Junction, Vermont, 05001.
Okay, we have a motion by Mary. Is there a second?
I'll
second.
Second by Sue. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 6 in favor, 0 opposed. And so we will also consider, did everyone get the application materials for the red can application for the 3rd class?
Outside consumption.
Sorry, outside consumption, my apologies. There is, Leslie, if there's anything you want to share.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all. A couple weeks ago, pleasure to meet you. Red Can is up and running, and our doors have been open and we have been so busy. Reception has been amazing in the Upper Valley. So I hope you've joined us. If you haven't, come on in. Amazing food and wonderful staff to greet you. So Yeah, come give us a try.
Congratulations.
So outdoor consumption, we have a side patio. You can see the diagram that we provided for you. Our outdoor seating and tables actually still hasn't arrived yet. I think our goal might be the end of July for opening outdoor patio. We want to get our kitchen staff in order and service staff in order. So, planned patio date is not set yet. There's 8 tables, service to 24 people. It's closed off on 3 sides to that. There's the rock wall partitions there, surrounded by grass, and then the building. There's 1 entrance to that area coming from the sidewalk, and we will have a employee controlled little partition there. If you actually walk by now, we have a little black pedestals there, so people actually try not to walk through the patio and the gardens right there. We will have a sign that says no liquor beyond this point, and the patrons will check in at the front door with our hostess. If they choose to want to have patio seating, which will be non-reservation patio seating, we'll kind of play it by ear with the weather. But if they decide to do outdoor, the hostess will take them around the front of the building. They will not go through the dining room. They'll enter through the patio from the outside and be seated there. Bathrooms are also going to be the same way back into the building. So we have 2 bathrooms. They'll go through the front door, and it's directly down the hall. Go in the front door, you go to the left down the hall. They will not be coming through the side entrance door. That is for staff only. That goes into a hostess station, and that's where the food comes out. I think that's about it. Any questions or yes,
Lanny?
What will you have to designate the outside areas of consumption?
well,
Have it
there's
roped off, or will you have it?
there's the area is kind of
I see the sketch. but-
yeah. So there's there's a stone wall that probably goes up about 2.5 feet.
Familiar with that? Yeah.
Yes, and that was, unless you want us to have an extra rope
No,
or
I-
partition, but that's what it is. The patio kind of sits down
And then
it's
along the length of it
raised.
though, along the length of it, are you gonna have it along the length of it for people from leaving that and going up onto the grass area to head off from there?
I mean, if you want us to have a rope, we're happy to do that. I would hope that nobody steps up and over onto the
Generally,
grass,
there's
but we
something that
can.
has to be designated, no liquor
sure.
beyond this point.
Yep, yeah, and well, we were
So-
gonna have a sign out there, no liquor beyond this point, and then where they walk into the patio, there's that kind of controlled little
Right,
partition
but there's
there.
still a possibility of them to walk
They
onto the small
could.
grassy area.
They
at
could
least.
jump up over onto the grass over that little wall.
Well,
Yes.
not just the grass, but it actually, doesn't it abut, I'm thinking of where the old Legion
Trail.
was, correct?
Where the
Yeah,
trail, where
yeah,
trail break is,
Right,
yeah.
and it's right on the end there,
Yep.
concrete pad.
Yep.
Basically,
Yep.
and just wondering what it is to prevent people from walking
Out.
from that area out
Onto
with
the-
liquor
Yes.
in their hands.
Right, yeah, so I said, we're gonna have a little, right now, there's a little black partition there,
Okay.
like a little roped off kind of crowd control thing. We're gonna have that. I actually ordered it kind of looks like a garden cart, but a nice looking one. I was gonna put flowers in there, and it actually has wheels on it, so you can also move it and close off the area.
Okay.
All
All right,
So,
there's nothing really that designates, there's a designation of where the area is, but there's nothing to designate where
on
the
the
actual.
picture.
Right.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah.
there's nothing designates where the barriers are. so.
There's a description of it in the
Yeah, where
application.
where it has the dotted line that says boundary, that's where we'll have, that, crowd control,
Okay,
in there.
that's, okay,
And that's where the no liquor beyond this point will,
Okay.
sign will be.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions from board members? I have one hand up online. I'm not sure if it's application related. Let me just find out. Corey, is your question related to the current liquor application that's before us?
mostly. Question. Sorry,
Okay,
echo.
try that again.
The previous patio seating sometimes flowed over into the ramp and made it difficult to be accessible. And I wanted to make sure that they were.
It's a member of the public. Corey, you're cutting out a little bit, so we only heard about half of what you said. Okay, and please identify yourself.
Sorry, I don't know how to fix that. I'm Corey. I live in White River Junction. And I just wanted to make sure that the liquor license made it clear that the patio seating should not infringe on the accessible ramp.
On the ramp, like an accessibility ramp?
Yes. Because the previous patio arrangement did.
Not sure what ramp she's referring to.
Corey, I'm sorry, but we're not really able to hear you very well. I know that the location has been inspected by the fire marshal, and so I think any requirements.
Maybe she's referring to where like the main roadway and those sidewalk, you know, you can kind of go up on the sidewalk with a wheelchair or handicap accessible, you know, kind of where the bus stop is.
Mhm.
Maybe she's trying to make sure that there's nothing there, but yeah, this is just beside the building.
You're not doing on the sidewalk.
No, we're not on the sidewalk, which I believe the previous owner, or, you know, resident there did that. We're not there. We're just on that side in that little rectangle patio right there. Yeah. So sidewalk stays completely open.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I hope that answered your question, Corey. All right. Any other discussion on the application? Okay, anyone would like to make a motion that's on the bottom of the printed agenda?
Make a motion to approve the outside consumption permit for Red Can at 129 South Main Street, Suite 100, White River Junction, Vermont, 05001.
Friendly amendment. It's a license, not a permit.
Is that acceptable, Laney?
License it, that's fine.
Okay, great. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sue. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you all so much.
Congratulations.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you all.
Okay, and I will then close the portion of the Liquor Control Board at 6:14 and reopen as the local Cannabis Control Board to consider renewal of cannabis license for Altius THC LLC. Is there anyone here representing that? Would you like to have a little speak? State your name, and if you didn't sign in, if there's any members of the public here that didn't sign in, just before you leave, will you sign in on that sheet on the table up there? Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you for taking the time to review our application. My name is Tim Ryder and I represent Altius THC LLC.
Great. And this is just a renewal for a wholesale?
A wholesale distributor license, yes.
Anyone have questions?
So this is just, we have been allowed to ask where the address is for this now or not? Is that still a gray area that we're not sure about or what?
You are not.
Right, well, we're not sure about that because it's a gray area for us.
Yeah, there's a discussion that's going back and forth and.
I know that it's redacted from the
Yes.
application paperwork for those purposes and it shouldn't be public knowledge. That's a big part of our security plan. We
Certainly,
prefer it to be that way.
understandable. We're just getting some updated guidance for, anyway, in the meantime, but we're not asking.
With
for
all
you-
respect
yeah.
for our.
We don't take it personally, but we have to answer to people too.
Understood, totally understood.
Otherwise, any other questions for the renewal? I'm happy to accept the motion. Mary, go ahead.
Sure. I move that the select board renew the cannabis license for Altius THC LLC for number letter S dash 00008489.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Okay, motion from Mary, second from Brandon. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, 6-0 in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much. I
coming.
really appreciate all of you.
And if you don't mind, do just sign that, sign sheet. Yeah. Okay, so then I will close the local cannabis control board at 6:16. And any other need for order of agenda changes? Anything else look okay? Then we will move to public comment and start with anyone in the room. You have 3 minutes for this meeting, sorry. 3 minutes. Anyone would like to make a public comment that's not related to anything on the agenda? Okay, seeing none in the room. If there's anyone online would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. No hands up. So we will move to select board comments and announcements. Lanny, anything?
No.
Sue?
No, thanks.
Ida? No. Mary?
Well, I'm sure John will maybe say this, but there were a couple of us, including Ida. We went over to the opening of the Riverwalk. Yes. So many names in my head. It was very well attended, and it was a wonderful chance to see the rooms, which are pretty amazing. And I think we're pretty lucky to have this building with its help, hopefully, in housing with different incomes. So it was just really nice to be there and to meet people, and Lori Hirschfeld was there as well.
Brandon, anything?
Well, I have noticed out on the listserv and other places that a program is advertising some free education in the building trades space. If anyone is, for some reason, listening and wants a career change or wants a job installing heat pumps or doing weatherization for homes. This training is not only free, you can get paid up to $1,000 to do it. And it takes place over 3 weeks at the Career and Technology Center. I didn't make note of who to contact, so you can just reach out to me and I'm happy to direct you.
The energy coordinator, the environmental sustainability coordinator, Dana Clausen, is also a contact for that.
All right. Very good. Thanks.
I have 2 things. One, just a giant shout out to Parks and Rec, HPD, and the fire department for an outstanding fireworks 4th of July celebration, which I'm not typically a big fireworks fan, but was helping a vendor, and the turnout was it was a lot of people, and anyway, and all the crews handled everything. It was very impressive, just how smoothly things went. So a big shout out to Parks and Rec and HPD and fire. And then I wanted to just announce that there had been a economic development community forum scheduled in June that got canceled when the internet was down in the building. That's been rescheduled. So this is part of the planning department and the planning commission update of the economic chapter of the town plan. So there's a public community forum scheduled on Tuesday, July 16th at 6 p.m. It's primarily meant to be an online access forum, though people can attend in room 2 here, but it's primarily intended to be online, and there's the Teams link and the information about it on the bottom section of the homepage of the town website for anyone interested.
Kim,
Yeah.
I want to amend what I said. It was a yes, actually. And you've reminded me that on Saturday, I participated in the reading of Frederick Douglass's speech from, I think it was 1856, kind of taking everyone to task on what the 4th of July meant to people of color. And the experience of being with, it was about 32 other people, and we each read a paragraph, and it moves around and back, and the different voices was just phenomenal. And I think they've been doing it for quite a while. If anyone, next year, I'll meet you there.
Yeah,
That's great. And Joe Major coordinated it.
it was excellent, really, really hot. And
Yeah.
it's the Quechee Lakes Diversity and Equity Inclusion Group that facilitates that. They did a great job. Okay, then we are on to appointments, and I think we've got Karen in the room. So we'll consider the appointment of Karen Powell for the West Hartford Library Board of Trustees. Karen, would you like to introduce yourself and share anything with us that,
Point of order to start with on this.
yes?
Isn't this normally an elected position for library?
Yeah, and Karen could probably speak to that. It does, this one is being appointed and goes through until the town meeting day. It doesn't, it's not a 1 year.
But my only question is that by statute, if it's an elected position, how are we allowed to appoint somebody to an elected position?
I certainly taking your point that this does elapse at town meeting day. I imagine that this person might have, the previous holder of this position
I mean,
might have been elected,
I'm in support of Karen, but I just want to make sure
Step
that,
down.
you know.
but maybe you have the history of that.
I just, the only question I have is whether procedurally, whether we are allowed to appoint people that are by law supposed to be elected officials.
You do it yourself on the select board sometimes. If there's a vacancy, the select board
Right,
can
but
appoint
that's,
somebody to fill the
but
remainder.
that's when the town charter. That's on the charter. That's not,
Pittsburgh didn't have a charter, and we were empowered by state law to do so, to fill a vacancy.
I just want to make sure that we're doing this legally.
Karen?
Okay, thanks for coming.
I mean, this is nothing against you. It's all right. I think you're a great person, Karen. I know you. And I think you'd be great for it. I just want to make sure that we're covering ourselves.
No, I was asked to be West Hartford Board trustee. I'm a member, I live in West Hartford, value the community, and I appreciate the library that is there. And when I was asked to be a trustee, I had considered it and I wasn't sure. And I definitely would like to be part of the community, part of the library, and bring the library up more open to the community. I've been a West Hartford resident since 1989. My kids grew up here, they graduated. I've worked here, retired here, and I want to be more into the community minded in helping the community via the library.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Karen?
Other than thank you for stepping up and serving the library in the town.
You're
You're
here.
welcome. Be glad to do it.
Okay, we can entertain a motion.
Um,
Go ahead, Laney.
I'm gonna make a motion with an amendment to what's here. So I'm going to consider the adoption of appointment of Karen. I move that the board appoint Karen Powell to the West Hartford Library Board of Trustees beginning 9/2024, ending March 4/2025, subject to review by Vermont League of Cities and Towns or Town Council. To make sure that we are in
In compliance.
compliance with all applicable laws in regards to this.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Is there a second, Sue? Okay, second by Sue Buckles. And any further discussion?
I might want to ask John his opinion of how much staff time from town staffers that would take to review that.
5 minutes.
Okay.
I can do an email that quickly and I should have an answer tomorrow for you.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 6-0. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Erin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will notify everybody, including the applicant, of our legal analysis.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
back on schedule here. Over to the town manager for the town manager's report.
Sure, you of course have a written document, so I don't need to belabor that. I'll just touch on a couple of highlights. During our next select board meeting on July 23rd, Vermont Agency of Transportation will conduct a local concerns meeting during the select board meeting to discuss its plans to develop a scope of work for Bridge 73, which is the span that crosses White River and NECRR. I assume that's the railroad.
That's the bridge right out here.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, it's really hard to find out online which bridge that is.
Right, they will be providing a PowerPoint, so it'll be abundantly clear before the meeting what they're gonna be talking about.
Okay.
Also, the Department of Labor has asked the town to allow them to conduct a job fair here outside the town hall in the parking lot and into the park under a tent on Friday of this week from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we look forward to hosting that event, and certainly our friends at DPW will be taking advantage of that opportunity to recruit new staff. As to the SIGAX, just one bit of good news among lots of good news that I'd like to emphasize, and that's that officers Gibbon and Cronin successfully completed the Vermont Police Academy part-time officers academy. Both officers began field training immediately thereafter and will begin full-time basic training at the academy starting on August 5th.
All right, any questions for the town manager? Okay, moving right along, boards, reports, motions, and ordinances. First is to approve correction to the fiscal year 25 grand list figure.
Yes, I can tell you, Kim, you and I have been speaking about this matter back and forth a little bit. And Gail and I and Rick have in the aftermath of the last meeting on July 2nd, at which tax rates were set. Nothing that was signed on that night needs to be changed in any way. In fact, nothing generated for those rates or reflected in the draft minutes needs to be changed. The only thing we did to poor Brandon was to have him recite into billions a number that appeared in the millions and needlessly, and Rick will explain to us why.
Good evening, Rick Vincent, Town Assessor. So there are two numbers that we deal with, two values that we deal with when setting the tax rate. So there's the total listed value, total taxable listed value for the town. That's the $1.4 billion, I'm rounding, $1.4 billion value. And the grand list is 1% of that value. And that's because the tax rate is based on $100 per $100 of value. So you have to take the 1% of the total listed value, and that's the grand list value. So the 14 million and some change that was approved last week is the grand list value. Any questions? Any?
Yep, I just think it's good for the record going forward that we will, well, I won't be here, but future boards will read those numbers as they are written. We just, starting last year, got a little thrown off on that. So
Okay.
I really appreciate the clarification, Rich. Does anyone have questions for the
And Rick's
assessor?
promised to be here with us next year to hold our hands through the process.
And to
I
be,
was gonna say, thank you for doing that, because I'm still not sure by next year I'm gonna really understand this, but keep trying.
Yeah, we'll go through it again next year.
Good.
Brandon, you had a question?
well, just to be clear, I don't need to make a motion to amend what I said because the written record is correct.
Written record is the one people rely upon. It's out there forever.
I mean, I wouldn't,
I think what our discussion now is arguably correcting. the
Oh, that
verbal
makes
record.
it's the recording. So just so that there's a record that we recognize that you were, we were unclear about what was supposed to be spoken.
Very well.
I don't know that it's, and then this that motion would then be in the record for the minutes as well, right? So it's up to you, but I think it does just kind of cross the Ts and dot the Is.
Thanks, Rick. We'll see you next
Thank
year.
Do you want to make a
Yeah.
motion?
I know, we were explaining to you that the motion was not needed
Oh,
because the written proposal from last meeting and the minutes that reflect last meeting are correct in that they list the grand list as the $14 million figure.
that fine with everyone?
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm
and
satisfied.
if it's the recommendation of the town manager and the assessor, then it's fine with me. Okay, great. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, so no action on that first item then. And next up, we have the award contract for aggregate purchasing.
Good evening.
All right.
So the three awards tonight are annual. We're trying to do it maybe twice a year now on some of them, just to cut down on the work because we have, as you'll see, very limited competitors for the products or the services that are, put forth in front of you tonight. The first one is for aggregates. This is a range of stones that we use from doing highway projects to the winter sand that we mix with the road salt for there. I know in the past I've been looking at comparisons, so I tried to put together the information up so you could see, prior years and how much the difference is. We did have a new vendor this year, D&D Excavating, for the winter sand. They bid only on the winter sand, and they were the low bidder for that one. So we're just looking for this one just to, the two quarries, if you're not familiar, one is Pike over in West Leb, and then we have Twin State, which is over here. And we did this last year, and what we're asking for is that even though Pike was the lowest price wise, there's times when going to Twin State will be expedient for us. You've all been out to the shopping center out there. If it's 2:30 in the afternoon and it's packed with cars and we need one load of stone, we're not going to fight an hour round trip traffic to go get stone from there. So then we would go to Twin State to go get it because we can grab it in 15 minutes and get back to the job site. So that's why that motion reflects that, just that we have the availability to be able to do that for that.
Any questions for the Public Works Director? If not, I'm happy to entertain a motion.
Is this motion for two separate motions or all in one, Brian?
Well, I put it as two just so it was for clarification. So you can make it all as one motion.
Okay, I'm ready to make motion then.
Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, I move that the select board authorize the Department of Public Works to utilize number one, Pike Industries Incorporated as the primary vendor for aggregates, with the exception of winter sand based upon their overall competitive bid pricing, with Twin State Sand and Gravel Company Incorporated being utilized in the event of a product shortage at Pike Industries or when deemed operationally expedient. Number two, D&D Excavating Incorporated as primary vendor for winter sand based on their overall competitive bid pricing, with Twin State Sand and Gravel Company Incorporated being utilized in the event of a product shortage at D&D Excavating Incorporated or when deemed operationally expedient.
Okay, we have a motion by Mary. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I had a second. And any further discussion? I'd just like to comment, I have a friend who refers to select board meetings as gravel meetings, so I'm really enjoying this lovingly. So, okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, and then we're on to sludge hauling.
Yeah, so the next one, we have the two wastewater treatment plants. The Quechee wastewater treatment plant, they get to a certain process with their biosolids of where at that point, they used to put it on drying beds. But due to our permit now, we have to take it actually to the plant over here in Hartford River Junction. So we have to use a commercial vendor to actually big trucks, 6,000 gallon trucks. They'll come a couple of times a month. They'll take, numerous gallons of the sludge, and then they take it over to the White River plant for final processing. And then they're being turned into the other solids that we get rid of. So that's what this one is for. And then there's also two for if we need to have the Quechee main plant which is on the north side, I guess it'd be the north side of the covered bridge, by where the little parking lots there. If you ever see that little gated fenced area there, if you were to go down 20 feet in the ground, you will actually have the main pumping station. So the sewage, it's kind of funny, the sewage comes this way, and then we actually pump it under the river to the plant on the other side from there. So that just needs to be cleaned out too. So that's what this one is for. And this year, there's two vendors that do this, Menage and Stearns. This year, Menage has it. Now Stearns has it. They always bounce back and forth. And as you can see, the little bit of price difference between the two of them. So, and for the 11 months, I can only think of is that, like now, Menage is still doing July. So I think that's where Chris just came up.
Are we talking about line cleaning or the sludge hauling?
Sludge hauling. So that's the one where I think you just had the 3 months there for that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit of a formality, but I feel like, because if we are only doing, like, if, I mean, it sounds like the cost difference isn't that much from what the
No,
fiscal
it-
24 was. So
yeah, and
we're-
it's based on the gallons. It's
Yeah.
not based on like, they have a lump sum fee every month. It's based on the gallons they actually pump. So.
I mean, I think just a formality, I'm happy to.
And Chris could have put the wrong number down. He's done that from time to time. So,
Well, as
yeah.
long as the, like,
Yeah.
I mean, if the 600,000 gallon
Right.
total is right and
Yeah.
the price
Right.
is, the
Yeah.
amounts are right, then that's fine, but maybe, I mean, I looked and it was 11 months last year too.
Yeah,
was the way that-
I tried to go back and take a look at old ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Any other questions regarding the sledge hauling or line cleaning? Okay, anyone care to do a motion? Lanny, go ahead.
Make the motion, the select board authorize town manager to execute a contract with Stern Septic Service LLC for $51,660 with any change orders to follow the purchasing policy.
What? Any?
I'll second the motion.
Mary seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then, oh yeah, now we've got wastewater cleaning.
yeah, and the last one is for line cleaning and video inspection. By both of our permits, we're required to go out and actually jet the lines and clean them, a section of them each year. So Chris puts this together. Once again, we have two vendors that usually do one, but this year only Menage bid on it. Stearns didn't bid on it. So we just have the one bid for Menage to get this service done.
Any questions?
I'm sorry, Brian, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Not pertinent to this actual motion before us, but when you do inspections of lines, well, I guess I'm gonna just ask a question straightforward. I noticed there was a, oh, that was a bit water leak. Never mind. That was a water leak I was talking about. This is sewer lines. Different subject. Sorry.
It's kind of hard to inspect water lines.
Yeah, I got that. Sorry.
I have a question.
Yes, Mary?
My mind's
Yeah.
on something else.
I have a question, Brian, about the wastewater line cleaning. If someone had asked you where there might be problems encountered when this is done, where would you find problems? Is it, at one point, you talked about the like roots, tree roots and
Mhm.
things, but is there anything other than that would interfere with a?
Pitch can make a difference. The longer material stays in a line, and there's not lots of volume and pushed at higher speeds, things can develop and give rise to infiltrations.
Yeah, I mean, there's numerous things that's with the grease outside any restaurant. If they don't have a properly working grease trap, grease can be notorious for clogging up a line.
Okay.
Do we
So
inspect grease traps?
we don't know. I don't know whether the state does that on their portion of it, but as far as I know, we don't inspect them.
And is there
So-
any infrastructure that goes along with this that as it ages, it's gonna be problematic?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's where we've got to, like you say, with an asset management plan, take the videoing of the lines and take a
Okay.
look at what we actually need to do, what needs to be replaced. I mean, the staff knows you always have your frequent flyers. The problem spots you're going to go back to year in, year out from that.
Okay.
But we need to go out and actually just, try to hit each line. I see Chris was on like a 4 or 5 year schedule that we're trying to clean out every line.
Great.
So,
That's a good segue that sometime soon, we expect to have kind of a broad overview of infrastructure in general for DPW with Brian and Chris talking about what's now causing us the most trouble and what are issues to keep our eyes on for the future.
Yeah,
So that's
great.
That's coming.
Thank you.
Ryan, when you have a problem with wastewater lines in the town of Hartford, does that manifest itself in the fact of people seeing groundwater, or does that manifest itself in reduced flow at the treatment plant?
Typically, it'll be a resident calling, saying they have an issue with their house. So I think if you look at a lot of times in the SIGAC report, we'll put responded to.
Right.
For that. That's first times that's
You
the
do track
indication.
the sewer flows coming into the wastewater treatment plant, correct?
Well, yeah, they track the flows, but I mean, that can vary, Lanny. I mean, I don't think, it's not like they're looking every day. The line, if you've got an 8-inch sanitary line, if you've got a blockage on it, it's not going to impact, you're not going to see that difference coming into the plant.
Okay.
It's something of that nature. But usually what we do have is reactionary. I mean, you take a look
That's
at
what I mean.
Yeah,
How do we-
it's resident calling, or we've noticed that there's something coming out of the manhole, that there's a blockage. That's typically how we find out about it.
Sometimes you'll see seasonality or during the daytime. There's the morning shower period before work, the evenings after work. And sometimes you get a
Right, I mean,
flow then.
just even like if we get the rain, anticipate tomorrow, I mean, especially the Pucci plant, we have massive I&I infiltration issues there. So you'll see for a couple of days afterwards, their flow will go up tremendously.
Yeah.
For what's going on until the water starts to subside down, so.
May I ask whether you're aware, I mean, I would guess you're aware of the percentage of wastewater in our town that is combined with stormwater runoff versus which is separated?
Yeah, I mean, we have the certain areas. I know we're working with a couple of CSOs to get that, but I don't think I can give you an exact percentage saying like 5% of it was that. It's kind of hard. I mean, especially this area down around here, when there's I don't want to call it a consent order, but we're under a directive that we need to separate, and that's a project that was already, I think, approved. We already have that to do we're going to do the catch basins and whatnot like that. So we known those trouble spots. Down here, a lot of it that we're still dealing with is potentially roof drains of the buildings coming into the system. And that's kind of hard. We really can't, if a business owner or property owner says, no, you're not coming into my building, there's not really too much we can do about it. That's where the video inspection can come in. If you see, water coming down, or, this is their sewer lateral, but then you see 2 more lines close to it coming in, that can give you an indication at time that they have additional hookups to the sanitary system that probably shouldn't be there with that. So and you could do things like smoke testing. I believe some of that's been done in the past, where you actually put smoke up the line and you see where it comes out at.
I think that has been done.
Yeah. So
Madam Chair, we can make motion on this.
I have one more question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Just wondering whether you have an idea of how many combined sewer overflows we have during the year, like into one of the rivers.
As far as I've been here into the White River, I don't think we have any direct discharge points for that's combined. So typically you'll have your outfall pipes for your storm, but they're not combined. Okay, so you have your storm that'll separate that may dump into the White River, but all the sanitary is going down to the plant for that. Okay. As far as I've been here, I have not been told of any time where we've called bypassing, where we've had to bypass. The only time we had to do that was at the Whitman Brook pump station during the storm last year, because the plant would have got flooded out if we did a bypass at the Whitman Brook pump station last year.
But there was just something in the SIGACs about just a overflow.
That was an overflow, but that had nothing to do with storm. That was just because we lost the whole control panel due to an electrical surge that caused that issue with that. That had nothing to do with flow or anything like that. That was a pure electrical issue that caused that. So,
and of course, whenever there's any kind of environmental impact, we have strict rules about reporting to the state agencies, and we follow this great care.
I just wanted to make a public remark that is honestly amazing and wonderful. You know, like every town on the eastern seaboard has started off with combined sewers. And, you know, I was even in Ohio, you know, I grew up in Ohio, and there were 200 or 300 combined sewer overflows per year. It was 4/5 of rain events that would happen.
The community I worked in central New York, anytime we were in a New York State DEC consent order, and yes, we used to buy any rain event, we would have to bypass because of that. Yeah.
So thank you.
I'm sorry, can I just clarify? So that's true for the Connecticut River too? Because I do recall that there's like in Kilowatt Park, there is a little warning sign that says, you know, don't swim after a rainstorm because sewage overflow is possible. But are you saying that really doesn't happen?
Where's that signage at? Then that's news to me. Where's that at?
It's Kilowatt North.
Okay.
There's sort of like a kind of unofficial little boat launch.
Well, that's really, you're talking about Lebanon or Hanover.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, that could be also too. I mean,
Oh.
if there's an overflow in Lebanon or Hanover, that could come down the river
I see.
from
Okay.
there.
Hanover's Public Works for their sewers is right by the Connecticut River on the other side of the lake.
Okay.
On the other side of the river, so
Okay.
that's referring to Hanover's overflow.
Okay. Okay.
All right, fascinating. Lanny, did you want to make a
Yeah,
motion?
ready. Make a motion that we authorize town manager to execute a contract with NA Monash for $42,400 with any change order to follow the purchasing policy for wastewater line cleaning, video inspection, and reporting.
Okay, we have a motion from Lanny. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ida, seconds. And any other discussion? Fascinating stuff. All those in favor say aye. Aye. 6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Hey, Brian, can I ask you one more question before you take off? Sure. We are looking at a significant rainfall event tomorrow. And
Potentially.
we still don't have a permanent fix for the Queechee Bridge. Where are we at in terms of that permanent fix? We still have a temporary emergency repair in place. What is the process with getting the final fix on that?
Well, Thursday morning,
concerned about it
I'll
washing.
be having another meeting with our third FEMA program manager. The one I've been working with for the last several months. It's been identified as what the FEMA calls a 406 mitigation project, Lenny. And it's just basically getting FEMA's mitigation team. It's FEMA's in silos. You have public assistance, mitigation. They have their different divisions, if you want to say, and a lot of them don't cross-talk to each other. So this one's on the radar. Country Lane's on the radar. The culvert pipe at Podunk Road is on the radar. They've all been identified. It's now, hopefully, the conversation I'll have Thursday morning is exactly what I'll ask him, where are we at with this? Okay.
We're looking at
Because
significant
the
rainfall.
fix for that, what we're looking at is extending that wing wall. Because originally after Irene and 11, there were plans to extend that wing wall. And it should have gone out like another 70 or 80 feet. And for
That was
whatever
the
reason,
Ezra
whether it's
plans.
financial or whatever, it just didn't happen. So, I mean, the fix we have there now, Lanny, is basically the same of what happened, after Irene. Even though it's called temporary,
I understand. I mean,
it's basically the same.
a
We're
temporary
in the same
It's
condition.
better than what was after Irene because it is now heavy riprap versus the dirt. the
Right,
smaller
so,
rock.
but it's still considered temporary. If we want to
Correct.
have this try not to happen again, we got to get that wing wall down.
Yeah.
So.
All right, thank you, Brian, because now we're off on topics that are not on the agenda, so we should move on. Thank you for all that, Brian.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
All right. I mean, how do y'all feel about just kind of moving through without a break, or does
You
anyone?
mean going home soon?
Yeah, okay, great.
I'm in.
Okay, so we are on to considering adoption of the select board dependent care reimbursement policy.
Yes, as you know, the voters at town meeting approved a select board proposal to implement a select board dependent care reimbursement program with select board members eligible to receive up to $20 per hour in reimbursement for dependent care rendered to their household family members during a select board member's meeting attendance. Ali Tafkanjian was again thoughtful enough on her final days and hours as a select board member to draft this rough draft of a policy, which Paula Nolte and I have tweaked to meet with existing payroll practices and the law as we understand it. It's unknown, of course, which members of the select board, if any, will avail themselves of this program. So it's really hard to identify the financial impact, but I feel confident that we will have the resources to implement the program once adopted.
Thank you, John. Anyone have questions or comments? I do.
Go for it.
I mentioned these in my email, John, but so number one is that we've been utilizing a template that is actually not the one that we adopted when we adopted a policy template a few months ago. Personally, I think this one seems to be working better. So I'm just throwing it out there that we might do a simple modification to adopt this policy template so that we can just move forward on that without it being confusing later in the date when someone pulls up the approved policy template and it's not the one we're using. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I did not know that until you brought it to my attention.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this one is probably the better one. It's just
Where did this one come from?
there were a couple samples that I can't remember if it was, I think it was either one of the HCORE members, like whoever it was that originally proposed the templates. I think it was Sarah Campbell probably, did a couple draft samples, but then I think the one that I put in the agenda memo, when I then brought it forth to the board for a motion, I just included the other one, not just sort of inadvertently. Anyway,
Okay.
So I think there were a couple of samples and I didn't realize that. And I just put one in there, but then this one is the one that's been used for a few different policies now. So it's a tiny oversight that I think we could easily correct. And then, did you see my note about the, on the form, the reimbursement form, the section that is number 2, select board member information to be completed by the select board member. The line that says duration of select board meetings for the month of, and then there's a field for month and a field for year, but there's not an actual field for what the duration would be.
Oh, and now I understand.
I know,
didn't quite
sorry.
understand
I
your
was
comment.
having trouble articulating that in a.
But yes, I can easily break that actually into 2 separate lines, if that would be more easily understood by everybody.
Totally, or even, so maybe
The point I was
duration
trying
of time or something like that, like
the
basically,
point I was trying to make was to point out that while somebody might leave home at 5:30 for a 6 o'clock meeting, which then goes to 8, and then it takes them half an hour to get home, all the rest of the policy anticipates that you're only getting that reimbursement for the time that you're sitting in that meeting,
yeah,
not your commuting time. That's why I was trying to make that differentiation, but you're right, as it reads, it doesn't have a place to identify the listing of the duration. One could simply rely upon the meeting minutes, because those have starting and ending times,
Right.
but it might be handy for everybody just to have this as a quick and easy way to track it that way.
I think, yeah, just adding one
Yeah.
field in there, and it is also explicit in the reminders and everything that it is for, like, not to be used for travel time and stuff. So anyway, I get your point. I think that's excellent, but it does seem like there should be.
Yes.
All right. So if there is a motion to, okay, then it would be intended. Sue?
So I spend all day wordsmithing. There's one word in here that, I may be being ridiculous, but saying select board members should send the reimbursement doesn't mean they have to by the end of the month. I would just change that to shall.
Where is that in the?
Yeah,
Page 2.
I thought it was 2, yeah, I didn't see
Yes.
a number. The top,
Mhm.
it says you should send them in.
Yep.
And the town shall reimburse you, so.
So we can do any motion as amended with those 2 items. Lanning?
I have a question about the misuse of reimbursement policy. Where it says, if concern involves the conduct of the chair, vice chair, other select board members may be notified as necessary. The select board review and take action to address the member's conduct. This board has no authority to address anyone's conduct whatsoever. That's been proven in the fact by people breaking the law and getting away with everything. So we have no way to control members' conduct. So
Not to
that should
control, it
be
says-
taken out,
I
stricken
did,
from
I
this.
did take out a portion that said that select board members could be removed by their colleagues.
We have
for
no
committing-
way,
For committing fraud,
yeah.
so that has already been stricken.
we have no way to address anybody's conduct whatsoever. It's the voters have a role through that. So this should be stricken from this. If somebody wants to get away with something, basically, you're trying to get away with something, it's up to the voters to remove them. Because we have no authority whatsoever to take action, address against any member's conduct on this board.
I disagree.
We have no authority.
I think that we do have authority if the majority, the majority of the board has authority to take action. What the way it's phrased, and I don't have a strong sense of if this is in there or not, but as necessary, the select board will review and take action to address the members' conduct. It doesn't say it's going to control the members' conduct or censure them, or what, it doesn't say what, it just says to address it.
There's-
That could mean a stern conversation in an executive session. If there is a real egregious fraudulent behavior, I think that some action can be taken.
If it's against a conflict of interest policy, yes.
So then.
Okay, but this board in and of itself has no ability to address members' conduct.
Okay, well, you can move to make that
I mean,
amendment.
if you
Can I
can
ask-
give me proof that it does, I don't see that,
Question.
yeah.
What do you think it means by addressing the conduct?
To address the actions of the members' conduct,
Yeah,
No,
what does
take
that mean?
action to address.
take action to address the members' conduct. We have no way to hold people accountable to the policy that is in place. The only thing that we have the ability to do is if we've found that it's in conflict with the conflict of interest policy, is to bring it before the town manager for legal action. And even then, I don't believe there's ever been anything by a select board in this town that I can remember for conflict of interest.
What about the removal of the three words "and take action"? Where
I
have
would-
the
yeah,
select
we
board
have-
will review
I would find.
and address.
I would be fine with that because there is no means within our town charter that allows the select board to take action against a member's conduct.
That's what I'm trying to understand, what your understanding take action means.
Take action to address in any way. Just take action meaning to reprimand, to hold accountable, to.
I think all this says is that we can discuss it and, you know.
I would be happy with review members' conduct. I don't believe that taking action is anything that is addressed within our policies and procedures or within our town charter. And if you can give me an reference, a reference to what an action might be that we are allowed to take.
Addressing the members' conduct, that's how I read it. That we can take the action to have a meeting and say, hey, what are you doing here?
I think
And
I
sometimes-
see that as
Yeah.
review, but
Yeah,
I would agree with Sue. I
Let's do
think
review.
take action can take many forms.
yeah.
It's broad and intentionally, I think, vague to say, we can bring it to the town manager's office or to someone in HR or wherever it is. We can designate where we're going, just even if we're just talking about it, as Kim said in the executive session. It doesn't say what that action actually is, what it, whether it's, it doesn't say that it's illegal or illegal. It's,
Right.
All right,
The other thing I was gonna say, I don't think it matters. We
Yeah.
take action. If you're worried about that, we can still review and address it. Which I think is really the only option we have anyway. So,
Addressing is an action of its own.
yeah.
that's right. Yes. But then that's the only thing we can do is talk about it. Would that make you feel better?
that's the only thing we talk about is review it. Yeah, reviewing to me is discussing, yes,
Yes.
it's discussing, that's reviewing.
all right. How does the board feel with, as necessary, the select board will review and review and address the members' conduct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take out the three words, take action to.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
comfortable with that? Everybody okay with that?
Third amendment.
Town manager okay with that? All right.
Can I just
It was my
offer?
great idea to begin with.
You're welcome.
I just have another sort of clarification suggestion for the form itself. Just to make it a little clear that we're talking about a month-long time period, right? Any given month. So for the caregiver information, could it say like dates or date with an S apostrophe of service within the given month or something like that to indicate that?
Oh,
Who will be reviewing these reimbursement requests? Is that something?
Send this
that you-
form to the administrative assistant
So
and
we'll-
select board chair and vice chair.
So, but who is the actual designee that will be reviewing these and following up to ensure the legitimacy of these reimbursements, I guess? I mean, we're asking for caregiver's phone number, we're asking for a name, we're asking for an email, we're asking for the dates of service. So there has to be somebody that follows up on this to address that.
To confirm every detail or only to do so when question
When
is
an
brought.
issue is raised.
when a
Right.
question
That could be an
arises.
action,
confirm.
actually.
Oh, no, no more action.
Well, that could be a way of addressing a concern would be asking staff to call the caregiver to verify if there was a concern. I don't think we have to go back to the other language, but I'm just saying that could be an example
We're
of,
sounding like a very nefarious group.
I don't think this is ever gonna
I don't
happen
think-
personally.
I don't think anyone's got
Yeah.
kids on this.
Just point of order, also, I think because this is a new policy, that having this little extended discussion around it is not a bad thing. So I don't want to quelch that. I think it's good that, we're considering what the implications are. So I think that's healthy.
And
Like-
it may take an incident for us to really be able to test it out. We may want to tweak it then, and hopefully we never need to.
Absolutely.
I just question why we're asking for all the information if we're not gonna follow up to ensure that the actions took place. That's the other thing.
I'm raising my
when you
hand,
fill out
I'm the
your
chair.
tax- When you fill out your tax returns, right, they're not all audited,
Correct.
but you fill them out accurately and you keep records in case someone does audit you.
Correct.
Right, I mean, that
Yeah.
was exactly what I was gonna say in terms of every W-9 we get from contractors and all those things. I mean, this is part of a process to establish a baseline for the information we need.
So are these people going to have to require W-9 in order to?
No, because the select board members will get paid, it's not going to
It's a
caregivers,
reimbursement.
it's a reimbursement. So it's basically just showing your receipts as if you went on
I see holes in this, but I'm willing to vote on it because it's the will of the voters and tweak it as required as we need to, because at some point, I think it will need to be tweaked again, so.
Okay, and then any further discussion at this point, or you think we've come to a good place? I'll happily take a motion and just remember to use the phrase as amended.
Madam Vice Chair, I move that the Select Board approve and adopt the proposed Hartford Select Board member dependent care reimbursement policy as amended during our discussion today.
I'll second the motion.
Alright, excellent. Motion by Brandon, second by Mary. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, 6-0. Oh God, next one's me. Okay.
Don't panic.
Multitasking. Okay, so at our last or recent meeting, I guess it was probably June 25th, and we talked about an ambitious goal for select board training and decided to sort of just scale back a little bit and reassess. And I do have a little report that just came in by email about that this afternoon from one of the facilitators. But in the meantime, what I'm hoping we don't lose is the momentum for the goal of scheduling a couple of listening sessions with the community. This is something we've tried to do a little moderately successfully, but anyway, I'm wondering if the board is amenable to me checking availability with libraries, checking dates. I'd already thrown out some potential listening session dates to you all. I think I would probably start with those with the libraries and see what are listening sessions?
No, what are the dates?
Uh,
Because I was looking for that the other, I'm going a lot of the end of August. So I'm
Right.
going to try and.
and I have that in response to your email. I'll kind of incorporate all that and see, because, yeah, I'll finish up this discussion first, but I wanted to follow up.
Because I would very much like to do that.
Yeah.
If I can work the schedule. Right.
Exactly. I think we would do the utmost to get all, if not, all of us there would be the priority. So I guess a couple questions would be, if the board is in support of this conceptually, great. B, would you want something facilitated, like potentially, a sort of an objective person to help the dialogue, and we could try to do it with or without that. I always like facilitators. Okay, great. Anyone, Lanny, do you have any opinion? Okay. And then, so I can look into that as well. And then also, and this is something, if you have ideas, we can chat about a little bit now, or you can send me ideas, but just topic matter. Like we've tossed around a lot of ideas, and it should be something that like the community really wants to engage in, that we want to like be able to just have a more informal dialogue where we're not taking any action. It will still be a public meeting. We're still hoping to see if Jan will be available to participate, but outside of this venue in one of the Hartford libraries, and an opportunity to, particularly with a facilitator, to just kind of keep a conversation going about a topic that people are interested in. Mary?
Yeah, is there a way that you could solicit the topics? If people could, I'm just seeing this as, if we're gonna do it at a library, if people could solicit topics to the library and then take a look at those and see which, so that it comes not necessarily from us, but from them.
From them meaning the library or the public?
The public, but if we're gonna hold it at a library, I was thinking maybe that would be where you could gather, if people, I'm always thinking, I know it's an amazingly, we don't think about this, but people who don't use computers, so they might want to drop off a sheet, something handwritten, say, I'd like us to talk about such and such. I don't know if that's a possibility, but rather than having it generated from us, how do we get them to get the public involved in generating some of those topics?
I mean, my perspective on that is, I think that's a great idea. I do think it's also like right now,
time
consuming, and also like kind of survey fatigue, the stuff we were talking about with the community safety assessment and all of the things that we're asking, like we want to hear from you. We've been hearing from the public what they want. And one thing that could be interesting in terms of timing is, we will be getting the report for the community safety assessment, I'm guessing within the next month or two.
Yes, that's actually gonna happen in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, so I think like having the results of the community, or whatever, it's the report of the community safety assessment and a discussion around community safety with that thing is something we've been hearing from the public for a long time about a topic they want to hear about. So that would be something I would pitch. And then the other one that I threw out there, John and Connie and I participated in the cohort with VLCT, and we had to choose a wicked problem and come up with some solutions to our wicked problem. And we chose the wicked problem of a lack of trust in local government. And one of our solutions, which we've gotten pretty high regard for our presentation, part of that was also just doing a listening session on the topic of what does it really take to trust in your local government, and communication, that kind of stuff. So those are two things that I know I feel like our community is interested in. I feel like if we put it out there, we're gonna get, like a scattered, like a shallow, wide selection, rather than I think what we already have is a deep. Any thoughts on that, Sue?
Well, I think if it were happening this week, well, I'm hearing about people's taxes. They're terrified of what's happening with their taxes. And, how much of that we can control in this town, but, and I don't even know how to shape that for a community forum. But a huge jump in taxes can put some people out of their home if they're barely hanging on.
I mean, I think
And I don't know what we do about it, but people want to talk about it.
for sure. And if that is, like, that would be an ideal topic matter for a joint school and town select board, a joint school and select board session, because we clearly know that the school budget is so much more significant than the town. I mean, the town is high as well, but, and
I think with the current changes, people are scared about what's going on there.
and
Yeah.
with good reason, for sure.
So could we do a joint session?
We should, we can, I mean, it's actually in the calendar, the calendar cycles to do at least one of those a year, joint school and town, and so maybe.
I've talked with the superintendent, and we've got a very rough cut of an agenda on topics of mutual interest, just a matter of scheduling it.
Okay. So maybe rather than tack on another one at the moment, do you want to think about trying to do one community listening session on one of those other topics I recommended, and then a school and town joint meeting? So instead of like 2 listening sessions, but include the school in one and potentially talk about property taxes at that one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and we'd plan to do one in October potentially, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the other topic that comes to mind for me, and this is just a memory from being in a select board meeting before I was on the board. And I don't remember who it was, but a member of the public got up and like gave a really impassioned speech about wanting more public involvement in the budget process. So
yeah,
maybe that's related to sort of a tax and school discussion and just being able to sort of, I mean, again, it feels like a big topic to try to facilitate, but to at least think about how we could have a little more transparency and hear from folks. Facilitators, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, would you be willing to kind of get Tom's pulse on that?
Yeah.
And
We have been talking about late August, but we can do something different than that to make sure we get more, all of the select board members, maybe into September or October.
all right, I'll kind of do some like Rubik's cubing and see what I come up with. We can do scheduling via email without open meeting law violation, so I might just throw out some dates again. And just, so I want to, so I would encourage, if someone wants to make this recommended motion, and I guess we don't have to signify
What it is.
but I think I would include, if anyone's willing, to say coordinate 2 facilitated listening session events, so that we get a sense that the board is generally in support of that. And just before we do that motion, I just want to, so I got an email back today from one of the facilitators. So we talked about board training a little bit last time. I went back to them and said, I told Abundant Sun, like, we're going to back burner that for now, the bias training and the other logical fallacy stuff, and asked Prism Solutions if they've done strategic planning sessions, like a retreat kind of thing. Would they be willing to do a half day or a full day on a weekend day? They definitely have experience with it, and they are willing, and they've actually just this afternoon shared with me a number of weekend dates that they would be willing and available to do. So I'm gonna send you a bunch of dates and just appreciate any response when you
What
can.
months are those?
Um,
Generally. Are we
right.
talking the autumn?
There were, see, it's just today, so it's right here. There were dates, there's like 3 weekends in September and 2 weekends in October. 14-15, in September 14-15, 21-22, 28-29, and then October 12-13, and 19-20. And they might be really good to facilitate the listening session too, so. Yeah, unless there's any further discussion, be happy to just accept the motion to delegate you to put some stuff together. We're not locking into any specific plan yet.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mary.
I move that the select board delegate Vice Chair Kim Souza to engage with village libraries in the town of Hartford to coordinate 2 facilitated listening session events between August and October 2024.
We have a motion from Mary. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Sue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. I'll keep chipping away at that. Okay, commission reports. We'll go this way this time. Brandon,
None from me.
Mary.
Ooh, I do have one. I'm just trying to
Can we
get
come
it
back to you?
up here. I will say that H. Corey was supposed to be meeting on July 3rd, but because of many people having events and things, we didn't have a quorum. So we had to cancel that meeting. Hartford Conservation Commission met on July 1st. The meeting commenced after board members walked through the David Chang Conservation Area to observe the eroding riverbank. The meeting was held at Quechee Library. Discussion of what to do or not do with respect to the eroding riverbank will be held off until all parties, state and regional, as well as local agencies, are consulted. Some late results of Green Up Day that will affect the budget slightly include the fact that the price of recycling tires has grown exponentially to $14.50 per tire from about $5. So, and 22 were collected on Green Up Day, indicating that the commission will have to increase their budget to accommodate. Good news includes that several companies in the area who volunteer on that day have been helping for over 20 years, and that some actually pay the volunteer hours for the employees per year. King Arthur Baking Company is one such company. Trails Day on June the 8th resulted in a 16-foot bridge being built by 8 volunteers, while on that same day, Forest Frolic, the younger people and their families learned about nature issues through a story walk that included 4 families, approximately 10 people. Future Forest Frolic events will be on July 13th and then again on August 10th. There is a forestry workshop on July 9th. I don't know who went, but anyway, it was meeting in the parking lot of the town forest from 6 until 7:30 this evening, so I could not go. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Ida, any commission reports?
Not today.
Sue? Lanny?
Nope.
And I have none either. So that brings us to consent agenda. Anyone care to make a motion?
Go ahead then. Okay, I move that the select board approve payroll ending 7/6/2024, approve AP manifest of 7/5/2024 and 7/11/2024, approve meeting minutes of 6/25/2024 and 7/2/2024. And then we already have select board meetings approved for 8/6 and 8/20/2024.
Those ones need approval. They're not already approved.
Okay, and move for approval 8/6/2024 and 8/20/24.
Thank you, Mary. Is there a second?
Well, second.
8 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And passes 6-0. Is that it? Motion to adjourn at 7:20.
Madam Vice Chair, I move that the select board adjourn.
All right.
I'll
do I have a
second the motion.
Okay. Got it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Signature is required.
Oh,
at the
yes,
desk.
this is required. Mary, you
Am I
get
right?
I already
the
did.
motion making MVP for
the night.
Yeah, what is this about when we have to approve the meetings for 8/6 and 8/20? Aren't they regular schedule?
I have that